All right, Jake, how you doing? We're on issue 15, Kamandi, Last Boy on Earth by Jack Kirby, inked by Mike Royer. How you feeling today?
Good, good. We're 2/3 of the way through this whole, 3/4 of the way
Yeah,
through this whole
three
thing.
quarters. Yeah, we got five more issues after this. We're gonna be done at the end of the year.
It's running out fast.
Yeah,
So yeah, I know that when we last left off, Commandy was in this like 4-issue story arc with the Sackers department store and the lepers and
yeah,
all that.
yeah.
And
And he almost got gassed.
right, and last issue was great. It was this
Yeah,
battle. There was this death race with Bull Bantam and Kamandi flew off the handle. We saw the death of Chick Clack Click Clack.
click clack.
Yeah, and it was all happening. But then at the and then also the dilemma of Kamandi having to choose whether he's going to stay with his female lead or ditch her, right?
Yes.
So we'll see how that all you know. We also have the reminder that Commandy's only supposed to be a teen, and so is Spirit, the female lead, only just teenagers here. So
Yeah.
maybe it isn't about settling down, and maybe it's just about adventure still. But
Just like these comics.
yeah, so yeah, I'm really psyched. My issue of Commandy number 15 is in pretty good condition, and it's a beautiful red masthead here, and some blue colors, yellows. We see on the preview on the cover is that Dr. Camus is tied up with Sultan, the teenage prince of the tigers, and it looks like they've been captured by apes, and Kamandi is hiding out underneath a bunch of rocks. So we have our dialogue that says clemency denied, execute the prisoners, but up top this is hysterical, and
Yeah.
these letters that you see, it says apes in control of Washington D.C. What will they do with the Watergate secrets?
Oh, so time sensitive.
And right, and if our younger viewers don't know what Watergate is,
Oh,
obviously this was the Nixon scandal where it was all over by 75. But this comic came out in like March 1974, and it was very topical, I guess, at the time. But I have a feeling they're just going to be using the reference Watergate secrets for something
Washington, D.C.
thousands of years in the future or hundreds of years in the future. One other note about those letters up top where it says apes in control of Washington D.C. Those are press-on letters, and I
Yeah.
have those sheets. They're great.
Knockout.
Yeah, you
Knockout.
you just use a burnishing tool, and then the letter transfers from this film onto
That's a
the.
talent in itself. I remember doing that. And, oh
I
my
have
God.
so much of that stuff, and it's great, and my
Oh,
students love it too. But you got to be careful
oh.
as hell.
Mm.
And
Talent. Gotta have a
I
talent.
used to have this like little metal burnishing tool that had like a little like cupped end of it, so that you could just perfectly squeeze these things out. But
Yeah.
yeah, I used these letters recently in one of my posters, and they're great to get. People can still find them on eBay. They're still kicking around sheets of these transfer type letters in all different fonts. So with
All right, let's
that
turn.
said, let's start. So we have a big open white page here, and I guess Commander's is splitting, and Spirit is gonna miss him, and
Tufton's got a juice box.
yeah, well that's
Or he's vaping.
that. Yeah, that was the future. That the idea of having a drink in a square in a rectangular container.
It's very astronaut.
Yeah. So it says this
This comic will shock
shock
you.
you.
Woo!
Just after a great natural disaster has changed the world, this new adventure begins in a department store, but it's owned by a snake. The story will end in what was Washington, D.C., but its heroes and villains are tigers and apes. What has happened to human, you say? Well, keep your eye on Kamandi, the last boy on Earth, Chapter 1. Again, Kirby keeps coming back to those notes. It's amazing how these animals learn to speak. They must say that every issue, and there's just just in case you're picking up this comic for the first time, you're just getting these reminders that everything's reversed. Kamandi saying, "I must go, spirit. Men are nothing but trained beasts here." So he doesn't want to stay in the Sackers warehouse or the department store anymore. And he's going to be joining his friend Sultan.
Tufton.
Oh, Prince Tufton. Oh, so
Yeah, Prince Tufton.
so Sultan was the leper.
I think so.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
right. So wait, so this is lions? No, those are tigers.
They're
Yeah, so
tigers.
Sultan was lions, and so Tufton is tigers.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
You got it.
Okay, in Kamandi's world, it's not strange for a human being to find himself a unique pet among the animals. This fact has saved Kamandi's life. Now it launches
Oh,
him into a mystery from the past, once merely shocking, now downright mind destroying. And this gigantic panel,
God.
like a platoon of horses.
Jesus.
So you gotta love Kirby, man. He did not cut corners here, and there's you know this beautiful framing, tigers all around. They're all in coordinated uniforms, and they're getting ready to take off. So Kamandi is going to be with this very well armed battalion, and they all got these like majestic white steeds. They're loading up all their equipment, and we don't know if they're going to be right. So we know that in the last issue that they bought Kamandi's freedom.
Mm-hmm.
So
Kept them from getting gassed.
right, and so Tufton says, "Mount up, dress your ranks. We're not going to ride out here with a sloppy formation." He's throwing his juice box into the trash, so he's always thinking about recycling in the future. And there's all this banter. Did you hear that? The prince's little pet approves of us. Stop griping. Things could be worse. In fact, my guess is that they're going to get worse. We see the bugler is there, and they're loading up all the supplies. Where's Dr. Canis? We can't leave without him. Here he comes now with that old wheeler dealer, Sacker. Sorry I'm late. There were some last minute details. Mr. Sacker supplied me with old maps and information about our objective. That'll get us there, but will it get us out? And Sacker says, surely the son of Caesar isn't frightened by the stories about the forbidden places. I don't laugh at them if that's what you mean. What's this all about, Mr. Sacker? May I know? Spirit, serving as Sacker's personal servant, dutifully lowers his hood. I don't discuss my deals with animals, even if they're as clever as you, Kamandi. Don't be angry with him, sir. Listen, you snake, before the great disaster, my kind ran this world, while yours crawled in swamps. Mad little beast! Enough. I'll stand by our deal, Sacker. I expect nothing less from great Caesar's son, your highness. I accepted your deal to save Kamandi from your clutches, but I don't like it, Sacker. I don't like it one bit. I
Yeah, what's the
drive.
deal?
Yeah, so we're gonna find out. They have an objective. I drive hard bargains, Prince, but I usually get what I want. You will, Sacker, because I'll be back, and you'll get more than you bargained for. And they head off. Look at that, in this tiny little panel. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 horses.
Damn.
It's amazing. Not now, Kamandi. Troops, prepare to move out. So they all get on the horses, go. I mean, I guess he must love drawing horses. I'm,
Yes.
I'm
I mean, it's so cowboy. I mean, he did quite a lot of
Right.
What was his cowboy title? Was it
Oh God. Well, there was. I know
Billy the
Marvel
Kid?
had Kid Colt
Colt? Kid Colt. Kid
and
Colt.
Two
Yep.
Gun Kid too,
Yep.
and they also
Yep.
had
Yep.
Kid Rawhide, I think.
Yeah. 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 Good stuff too.
Hmm.
Really good stuff. So,
Yeah, I
all right.
I actually picked one up uh, at the convention yesterday.
Oh, in your stack? You
Yeah,
got it in your stack?
yeah. I think it's just reprints, but I have like Two Gun Kid. So we're into chapter 2 here. That was only a little 5-page intro.
The
Um,
Watergate
the
secrets.
Watergate secrets. So the great disaster had left its mark for centuries to come. Long, weary miles ahead reveal how the shattering upheaval had been. Kamandi and his friends pass over the once terrible epicenter of the tragedy, never knowing that a city called Savannah lies buried in the rubble. But not all the works of man lie broken. Some survive in strange and sinister ways, like the Watergate secrets. And yeah, this is just a clinic on how Kirby draws rocky outcroppings. This is amazing just to see this black and white interplay. How interesting it is to look at, even though there's just nothing there but rock, right?
Yeah, I mean, almost if the seeing this in black and white, it goes abstract very quickly, because you need the colors to create the depth from that brown gray to the light
Hmm.
yellow tan to the blues and purples, and it's insane.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
Freaking
wondering if
insane.
I'm wondering if this is supposed to be organic rock formations, or maybe some of these were supposed to be, cut stone like buildings, or maybe columns. Or,
Yeah, I think probably from the Great Disaster,
right.
whatever that was, pushing up
And it's funny that
Earth and
he's
stuff.
putting us in Savannah, Georgia.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Well, they're coming out of Florida.
Right.
Remember, they were down at the
True. Right. That
Hialeah in
highlight.
Miami. So
Yeah.
Hialeah.
Highlight. Yeah. Farther north, once stately mansions jut from the ground like decaying tombstones. Sacker's map calls this territory Carolina. Nothing here but buzzards now. And we can see these old stately southern mansions that are in ruins, half covered. In Virginia, the troop sights a lone forlorn structure in a large barren area. Scouts forward. We stop here. It's a place named Stakeout. Stakeout is a name the Tigers are wary of. To them, it's an evil symbol of a dark fragment of the past. Prince Tufton says, take no chances, shoot anything that moves. How do you shoot ghosts who walk on wires? See anything, hear anything? Nothing. Soon, the place is clean and I'm bushed. Sound the all clear. All clear. The troop then enters and rests, and Kamandi is in the bathtub singing We All Live in a Yellow Submarine. Quiet, Kamandi. Relax, Tufton. I like that song. My great grandfather claimed it was written by Beatles. That's not funny. I'm expecting a lot of trouble from bugs. And here we see Dr. Canis is unfurling his map. What about it, Dr. Canis? What about these bugs? This old data seems to indicate that they're important, a definite lead to the Watergate tapes, whatever they are. I know about them. The tapes were part of a political problem before the Great Disaster. I learned of it from a microfilm library. No, Kamandi, our bugs are part of a secret and powerful religious cult. Meanwhile, under a nearby table, the voices of Kamandi and his friends are picked up by one of the mysterious objects in question.
The
But
bug.
where are the bugs? What are they? So yeah, remember this. The Watergate was just unfolding back then, and they were finding out that there were secret recordings of Nixon talking to all of his allies, and that was the smoking gun that got Nixon to resign. And there was actually a 50-page indictment written up by a grand jury. He was about to get indicted, so Nixon resigned. But at the time, a lot of this stuff wasn't known, and I think at the very beginning, nobody was really sure how the tapes got made. So we don't know what Kirby knew as he was drawing this and scripting this. But we've got listening devices in here. And we see that in a hidden chamber below the old house, voices. We've got a break in. Did you pick up anything? A definite break in. Just pick off two. Just pick off the two leaders. The spirits of Watergate. Oh, so I think the way we're headed here is going to be a religious cult of apes that are like beholden to this Watergate idea. But let's see.
Hmm.
The spirits of Watergate never desert us. They always provide us with new captives for the annual hearings. Praise them. Our plumber squad will be honored when we return home from stakeout. We shall be granted immunity from evil forever. So all of these are terms that were part of the Watergate hearings and the Watergate controversy. Then I got the Tiger Sentry Wham to work, plumbers. So these apes are called the plumbers. They're called the plumber squad. Unaware of the danger, Kamandi and his friends discussed the mystery. There have been others here in stakeout, but it's said that they vanished soon after they arrived. Don't tell me the bugs heard them and got them, but how? Suddenly, a shock pellet is discharged among the unwary three. Kamandi's brain is struck by a hammer blow and is thrown into a sea of darkness. Shouting voices and pounding feet later awaken Kamandi. Wah? Look everywhere. Tear this place apart, but find Prince Tufton and Dr. Canis. Whoever abducted them couldn't have gotten far. What happened? What's this about abduction? Don't yap at me. I've got no time to waste on animals. Hey, cut that out. Go on, scat. You there. Got any clues? Down here, Captain. A hidden room. The mystery of the house called Stakeout is uncovered as the tigers find the hidden chamber below. Meantime, we've been spied on all this time. Now the enemy is struck. Call assembly. Get set for action. At that moment, Prince Tufton and Dr. Canis are prisoners in a distant place. We've been fools. Stakeout was a trap. Keep cool, Tufton. It's our only chance. Look out. Get back, you burglars. Harm us, and you incur the wrath of great Caesar. Clang.
Oh, wow.
Love that.
That is such a cool panel.
Yeah, we're introducing this new character here. Guy with a bone in his head. The spirits of Watergate defy all other powers. Take them to the hearings. You'll hear plenty when I get started. We've been chosen for some kind of ritual, Tufton. I love those poses there. We're in the rotunda of what was a great Capitol building. Capitol. That word is part of an old myth, a fairy tale. All myths have some basis in fact. This could be the fabled land of Washington. Bah, nonsense. Move, move. The prisoners are brought into view of a great gathering of apes. There are the cursed burglars. Evil, evil. Smite them, O spirits of Watergate. I don't like this, Tufton. It looks like we're in for a rough time. They'll regret this. My soldiers must be looking for us right now. They'll soon be here. Silence. You're accused of planning to steal the sacred Watergate tapes, the voices of the spirits. Indict them, indict them. Okay, I figured out what's going on. So they've been guarding the Nixon tapes,
Yeah.
and
In Carolina, either north or south.
no, I think they crossed into Virginia. It said, and so they're in Washington.
Oh, they are in Washington. Okay.
Indict them, indict them. It says, but that very moment, the hidden chamber at Stakeout led to this tunnel and these cars.
Ah.
I've seen cars like this on microfilm. They were used by senators.
Mm.
Senators, they were elected officials in Washington. This tunnel may lead to Washington, D.C. Stop your noisy gibberish, confound it. It may be gibberish to you, Captain, but Washington held a lot of meaning from my kind. Well, I'll tell you who's running it now. Apes! Bam! And ugh,
Pow.
pow! The cars soon rolled to a stop. You're right, Captain. The apes have taken over here. They've enlarged the Senate Railway beyond Washington to stake out in Virginia. If they've harmed Prince Tufton and Dr. Canis, I'll bury those apes in this tunnel. Chapter 3. Washington, D.C. A name once familiar to all men has been until now lost and forgotten place. It has lived only in fable, like Atlantis and El Dorado. Only to Kamandi does its significance hold respect and awe. To his companion tigers, it is a ruin where danger and death wait in ambush, especially when one hears the screaming spirits. Da, da, da. Yep, so here's the genius of Kirby. All these tigers are flooding in. And, you really get the sense that they're just, barreling through here, taking over this like old office space. No apes or spirits in these booths. Don't yield to superstition. Move, move. So this was like the press area. This was the press gallery. It was a place for reporters. And then apes attack. Pew! Kamandi is forced down by one of the fierce, powerful enemy. Animal, I'll crush you. Ah! Foul apes, pick on a suitable foe. Boom. Thanks, Captain. I thought that muscled mattress was going to squash me flat. I should have let him do it. Now stay out of harm's way, Kamandi. Tigers, soldiers of Caesar, let nothing stop us. Kill, kill, kill. Meanwhile, somewhere ahead, don't show pain or fear, Dr. Canis. I'm doing my best, Tufton. Let the hearings begin. Let the culprits twist and turn slowly in the wind. Tufton, I fear that What are these fanatics up to, Dr. Canis? You bumbling apes, can't you see the doctor's too weak to play this game? Let him go and do what you want with me. Enough. We know that you came to steal the sacred tapes. You would still the voices of the spirits. You would rob us of their power. You would bring upon us the day of crisis. I'll bring upon you the wrath of great Caesar's tigers. Blasphemy threats. At this point in time, the spirits demand that you die. Hand me the death subpoena so that I may summon the spirits. It awaits, all highest, ready to be served. So what do you think the commentary here is by Kirby?
That back then, I have heard from firsthand, individuals like parents and grandparents that, you know, and when Trump got into office, these individuals were first and foremost going on about Nixon and Watergate and how infuriating it was, and how, I mean, he was disgraced, but before that, he was disgusted. Like people were disgusted with him. The fact that the president of the United States, because he was following up behind John F. Kennedy
Yeah, but I'm
and
wondering.
LBJ. So this is all. I mean, I think these are direct stabs at Nixon, and I mean,
I see. That's what
it's
I
pretty
wonder.
unkind.
That's what I wonder because I don't know anything about Kirby's politics, but this is a.
I don't think it's politics. I don't think this is politics at all. I think this is exactly the way the American person back then was feeling. The adults, they were just
Well, I know
absolutely
that I know that
disgusted.
I know that when Watergate first started, it was very polarizing, and that the
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
the right really circled the wagon around Nixon, and
Hmm.
it took about a
Hmm.
year of investigations
Yep.
and hearings before they had the John Dean moment where he acknowledged that there was smoking guns and that Nixon had broken in and burglarized, and that he was
It was G. Gordon Liddy and his team, which were FBI.
right, and they were hiding all of these secret tapes that had all these conversations, and they were all
Well,
subpoenaed.
they were bugging offices. It was the Democratic office, and they had it bugged, and they were listening to this. And then there was tapes of Nixon basically not only bad mouthing, but instructing individuals to take down,
And
find this, do
yeah,
that,
I
get
don't
them to
know that they
stop doing
ever
this.
I don't know that they ever connected Nixon. They had a smoking gun pointed to Nixon approving the burglary of the Watergate Hotel, but I know that they had
Mm,
slam dunk evidence of Nixon on those tapes obstructing justice and
yeah,
trying to
yeah,
get the investigation quashed and trying to get the attorney
yeah.
general to to lay off.
All familiar
And
stuff.
here we are.
All so very familiar.
But
How we don't change as apes.
but
I mean, allegorically, this is just so
right, but that's what I
perfect.
was wondering about because it seems though, at the time Kirby laid this all out, he was portraying the people that were doing the hearings as these, nattering gibbons and stuff.
Mm,
When those were the good guys, so to speak, back during
mm,
Watergate, the people conducting the hearings, because
mm.
because
Yeah, but out here they're just bumbling apes.
right, right,
Execute.
right. So so we get to the next page, and we see this beautiful big like machine here, and it
It looks like a
says, uh,
microphone.
"Make way for the Watergate sound maker. By the power of this death subpoena, I summon the spirits whose voices live in this metal chamber.
Wow.
Let the sacred voices pour from this horn. The spirits shall try the prisoners, sentence them, and execute them. Proceed. What are they up to, Doctor? I can only guess. Brace yourself, Tufton. Trial by sound. Shock after shock strikes the struggling captives as the noise level rises. It's getting louder, louder. Can it reach a dangerous pitch, Doctor? I think it can kill us. The apes have learned to kill by sound."
Mm, mm.
So
God
I think
damn.
Kirby. I think I got it now. Kirby was saying this whole thing, all of this, political garbage is just killing us by sound. At that moment, the echo of gunfire is heard in the soundstorm. Tigers! Crack! Alarm! Alarm! Tiger invaders! Attack! Destroy that machine! Got to get closer first. I'll tackle that job. Kamandi leaps from the building steps to the top of the execution scaffold. Wee wee! Pow pow pow! And a quick succession of well-aimed shots wrecks the horn of the sound machine. I did it. The sound has stopped. Commander, you saved us. Cut us down. We'll take care of that, sir. Keep going, Tigers. Drive those fanatic apes back into their holes. The Tiger soldiers mount a savage attack which sends the apes reeling. Blast the apes. Break their ranks. Stop the Tigers. The battle rages on until the ruins of Washington, D.C. are ablaze with fires. The old Jefferson Memorial looks upon catastrophe once more. Kamandi suffers fatigue after doing his share of the fighting. What a fracas. Those apes sure are tough. We've got them on the run. I love this. And here we go. Oh my god. You can see the tapes there. Kamandi returns to his friends to find them dismantling the sound machine. Recording tapes. You found the secret Watergate tapes. They were hidden in this machine. There are voices on these tapes. These apes ran all these tapes at high speed and got a horrifying sound.
Oh my
Of course, the
God.
spirit voices. These apes built a society on voices from the past. Incredible, they use them as a weapon. Can we isolate one of those voices, Dr. Canis? I'll try by slowing down the speed of the tape. Let's hear one. It's very old, made before the Great Disaster, I'd say. I want to make this perfectly clear. Snap. The tape is broken. Don't bother fixing it. It doesn't mean much now. The end. So that's right before Kirby says, "I want to make this very perfectly clear." I think that's like, "I'm not a crook," or maybe this was some part of the
It's
tape.
definitely a quote. Yeah, it's definitely a quote
Yeah.
from something. I mean, like I said, he had made a lot of instruction upon individuals to take down, get information.
Yeah.
It was probably the first time. Well, no, I can't. Maybe I can't make that kind of
Well,
statement.
it's
But I think the wholeness of using the media, the open news network media, to just push this garbage out. I think from um, uh, Jack Kirby's point of view, who's going to remember this, or why does it have to consume so many people's time and their mental energy and stuff, and you know,
yeah. I mean, it was a fascinating occurrence, but it's I think it pales in comparison to what's going on right now. We just saw a special,
I think it's very similar, Jake. I really, we're living in the moment. They were living in the moment back
but
then. I
Nixon,
think Jake.
but Nixon resigned. He had the shame to resign.
Well, he was under. Those were times. Those were quote unquote better times that people had a sense of self-awareness to the point where if you were wrong and it was you were being pushed at least into something of to mount some
Yeah,
retribution, well then step aside,
right.
step down.
That's what I said. There was
Where we don't seem to have that in our culture and society anymore. Everybody has to be heard. Everybody has to be right. Everybody, and so if anything, it's amplified from this point. It's now just overwhelmingly drowning us, and just
yeah. I mean, I think
shit,
that's
just shit.
what Kirby was commenting on when he made
Yeah,
the sound into a cannon that kills people. Right? It's like
yeah.
all of this noise and chatter, that the public is bombarded with. But this was the 70s. Imagine today. Right? I mean,
I mean,
if anybody's listened to this, just for just a little reference point, yesterday Elon Musk announced that he's going to put
yeah,
Trump back on Twitter, and
yep,
like 2 days ago, there was a special prosecutor announced for the Mar-a-Lago documents case and the January 6th insurrection case, and so that's going to
yeah,
drag out for years.
sure,
But yeah, without getting too political, that's just like the
yeah.
time that we're in.
I just let's really go back. I don't want to put any words into Jack Kirby's mouth, or push this into a space that's not relative to him and what we have come to understand by reading 14 previous issues. But the ability that he's showing to have an understanding enough to put it into, let's say, an entertainment value that doesn't cross a line of being satirical too much to the point where it's a joke, it has us already right now thinking, talking.
Yeah, no,
And so
he's dancing
it's not a primary function. It's just a very well crafted story, which once again puts Jack Kirby at the top.
around. Yeah, I mean,
It just really does, Jake. I mean, every time we read one of these episodes, I walk away going, holy shit, he just stepped it up again.
yeah, I mean, he didn't take any, totally discernible position here. He made a couple of
No,
humorous comments on things that are going on, and he danced around, the issue, and he referred to it that this was a big deal in human, civilization time and everything. So we got all that, but I think the very ending is pretty poignant, where, he says, the tape is broken, don't bother fixing it. It doesn't even mean much now, right? Like, it's, in the foibles of humankind, it's all just going to melt away, you know. And
yeah.
it did. I mean, we're what, 3 generations later now?
Well, 70s, it's 30, 50
74.
years ago.
Yeah.
It's not, yeah, yeah, I would say almost, yeah,
So
almost 50 years ago.
but it's an interesting look at the process of Jack Kirby taking something out of the headlines, putting it into this comic. It's not like he's ignoring it. He's using it, and he's building something out of it. He's got these.
It's making it his own. I mean, he really made it his own,
Yeah,
which is a high level of craft.
yeah.
It's a high level of craft.
Yeah, he made
Um,
he made the plumbing gang, and he made the hearings, and he made the
because
inquest.
that's what they were called. They were called the plumbers.
Yeah,
G. Gordon Liddy
yeah.
and his crew were called the
The
plumbers.
burglar crew. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
that's what he referred to them in the tape. Well, get the plumbers over there, and
I
they
mean,
would go and fix that.
I think he's equating people that are really political as a religion, and like maybe like party, loyalty and polarized.
Well, it's a cult. Washington D.C. is just full of a bunch of insider cultists,
Uh, so
Illuminati.
all so just so we can timestamp this, back what was going on. We have some clues here in the time capsule, which is the letters column. It's
Yeah,
one page that was handled by Steve Sherman, over in Newbury Park, California, which is, I think, a PO box that was close to Jack Kirby's home. Um, so One letter from Bruce Friedman of Brookline, Mass. writes in, I think I figured out, I'm paraphrasing, but he says, I think I figured out what the great disaster was. It was the war between the new gods and Darkseid. Apocalypse finally occurred when Orion and Darkseid fought it out to the end, with Earth the battleground. Orion won and all the new gods left, and this is the Earth that remains a scant 50 years later. It has to be 50 years because Kamandi's grandfather was alive then. The mutations that resulted were either caused by Darkseid himself or his aides by the battle. Now I've guessed the reason. How about showing it? And then the response is, it's a pretty wild idea, Bruce, and one that we haven't thought of before. Interesting concept and would explain a lot of the hows and whys of Kamandi's worlds, except, of course, the fact that if Orion won the battle, he would certainly use all the resources of New Genesis to restore the Earth to its former self. An imaginative try, Bruce, and we thank you for it. So this lets us know that the New Gods was already out, and people were reading that too. That was another, Jack Kirby special of a world that he created and characters that he created. I did pick up a New Gods reprint yesterday, although I haven't opened it up yet. But it is Kirby Insides, so I'm looking forward to doing that at a later point, and I'll be able to learn a little bit about that. But also in this letters column, they reference Demon Number 1. Says, Dear Jack, as of now I have Kamandi 9 and 10. The art is great, and when Kamandi found the copy of Demon Number 1, it shouldn't ruin the story. It should only bring the story a little closer to home. So, if we remember, Kamandi was holding a copy of Demon Number 1. So there was like a little plug inside the artwork. And he goes on to say, it doesn't really matter when the story takes place. We know that this natural holocaust may happen tomorrow at 9:02 a.m. or 200 years in the future. The characters are the most important part of the story. Tigers and horses are natural enemies now, but who's to say that after this holocaust that the best of friends become hated enemies? I must say that you outdid yourself with the Misfit. He was a beautiful character. When Kamandi fought the Servitech in number 9 with the Parashock device, he was treated like any foreign object would be treated in a human body, hostile and must be destroyed. By making Mordekaiser fully evolved and free from any immunity, you removed two major problems. One, the Misfit would have proven to be a very deadly opponent, and two, the bats were just a major irritation in future issues. By removing Tracking Sight, you remove the greatest problem, not only for Kamandi but for the new world. So that was some comment from people writing in about that Kamandi number 9 episode. They really get into these stories and they think all these things out.
Well, it'll be interesting. Probably issue 19 or 20 of the time capsule will have commentary about the Watergate scandal.
Right.
So it'll be interesting what they
Yeah,
choose to
I know. Yeah.
populate out of that. So now I'm even more anxious to get to
Yeah.
19 and 20 because it looks like there's like a 4-issue delay, right?
Yeah.
It's about a 4-issue delay. Yeah. So it's
So
just
there's another letter here that's just totally into the Tracking Sight issue and the Servitex, the NASA mine, the Misfits, Mordekaiser. It was certainly a well-rounded craft, he says. So that was such a great issue. Let me see. And the last letter says the conclusion to the Misfit Mordekaiser story was nothing short of fantastic. The Misfit was a great character, but you were right in killing him off. The killer germ was a great idea. It sent chills down my spine. It was drawn perfectly. Another good thing about the issue was the insight on Tracking Sight, the episode with the planners and young Ben, Renzi, and Steve. Like Kamandi, I wish we could have seen the end of the tape. Remember that? That's when there was a video tape of a message, and Kamandi didn't get to see the end of it. Remember?
yeah.
Yeah. So there's just a little response. The popular consensus seems to indicate that issues 9 and 10 were winners among Kamandi fans, and we would like to express our support. There's much more in store, so get ready as Jack continues to unleash new things coming your way. Great one.
Yes,
Great one.
absolutely.
So we left Spirit behind, and now Kamandi is out with the Tigers, and they're in Washington D.C. They did not tease what's coming next. They kind of ended us at a starting point, but they do mention something's coming up called the Hospital. Don't miss it. It's a super shocker.
They keep using that word, shocker.
Yeah,
It's gonna shock you. I bet you that was like a big thing in movies too and
yeah.
television.
This was the goal,
Don't miss the shocking conclusion of
right?
Matlock.
You will be shocked to your core. Yeah. So yeah, good stuff. And next is going to be issue number 16. So I'm gonna pull that one out of my box and get it ready for next week. Um,
Cool.
yeah. So I did read a little bit more of my stuff said book, and of course this is the blow by blow evolution of the very beginnings of Marvel Comics under Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. And one thing that just generally jumps out at you is that in those early days of like 62, 63, um, Jack Kirby was doing many, many comics. He was doing like 3 titles a month. And the comics didn't sell well if Jack Kirby wasn't the artist. So he kept having to go back and forth. He put out Avengers #1, and then somebody else starts doing it. Hulk was taken over by somebody else. I forget who it was, Chick Stone maybe. But the sales just plummet when it isn't Kirby. And they said that like he was. They keep referring to him as the Golden Goose, and they make jokes about him being like it's like everything. I mean, it's just so important.
I bet you had a lot to do because the 70s, a lot of the comics were getting complex, and which was not a negative, I think. But I think for hardcore, having grown up with Kirby, they probably just didn't like the way the direction would then leap off of, um, a Kirby starter.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
But
I don't know if I would agree that comics got complex in the '70s. I would say maybe by the '70s they had evolved, but they were still pretty formulaic. And I think when you get to maybe the '80s and '90s, and you get into these like secret wars and all this universe crossover.
you don't think I mean the like Master Kung Fu and Warlock. I mean, even Doctor Strange starts getting into some like stranger places and
Well,
stuff. So it's not like really just for kids anymore. They're trying to get up into science fiction writing level. And Jim Starlin definitely, I think, brought that, to the and Doug Mensch.
yeah, yeah.
Those guys were really bringing some, I would still say, complexity too.
Right. You're right about like more complex characters and titles and kind of like
Some depth.
variations and deviations from the superhero kind of like
Yeah.
just pat formula. But the funny thing about Doctor Strange that jumps out is that this book seems to indicate that it was really a Steve Ditko joint, and that Stan Lee has all of these letters and comments saying how he dreaded doing a Doctor Strange script because it took so much to put it out, and he was like saying things like I almost wish it doesn't sell well because these things like are they take a long time to script. So
Yeah, because he probably had no understanding or appreciation for the occult.
right, I mean, and
He's too square and straight laced.
Steve Ditko did, right? And there's all these notes from Steve Ditko here about the Marvel method and how it worked for him. I did get to the point, it was pretty early on, where Steve Ditko and Stanley have a falling out, and Ditko starts doing the Spider-Man all by himself and just turning it in. Um, but Steve Ditko said that he in 2015 interview that he would always write down ideas that came to him, and he would put it on sheets of paper that were like taped up to the work. And he would ask like all of these subplot ideas, like J. Jonah Jameson, Aunt May, different kids, and all that. So I think Stan was really just, I think, the guy that pulled it all together. After the creators did their thing, and there was a lot of kind of selective direction early on. But I think once these guys got into these big like time crunches, they just developed the workflow, and they had a more of a sense of what Stan was looking for, and they
Hmm.
would just turn shit in and just
Hmm.
get it out there. So it's really interesting. I think I'm reading up to like May 1964 at this point, and Spider-Man had already put out, I think, 18 issues by then. They were kind of balancing between Avengers was coming out. They were up to like number 6. FF was up in the 20s, like 29, and that was the main flagship title, and Jack Kirby was putting the most into that. But you had X-Men coming out. X-Men and Avengers launched approximately the same time with number ones. So they were kind of keeping pace, and Jack was going back and forth, you know, and you had Don Heck and a couple of others that were trying to take up the slack so that Jack didn't have to do every single title. But the funny thing was they were all taking off. They were all popular. Like anything Kirby did was popular, and so he would launch a title, and then they wouldn't have the manpower to continue. It just being Jack all the time.
Yeah, it is amazing how, I don't know, maybe it was the system um, just really didn't allow people to come in, um, even at let's say just like in an assistant level or something. But I guess that's where then it leads into the bullpen, where you could get a on-site, on-staff job where you just worked on whatever, for your shift. Um, but it's, you know, Jack Kirby's lightning in a bottle.
Yeah,
There's just, and Stan Lee really was an excellent counterbalance. He really was. He was a necessity. And in getting the work, let's say, hammered down to get printed and published.
yeah,
I think we put so much on the creative, rightfully so, from the start, but it's really just the launching point. I mean, there other people need to put their creative spin on it, and especially with a business tack. So something that grabs people's eyes and keeps them motivated, and all of this is the wizard behind the curtain,
yeah,
business strategies and stuff, and then the competition for space, at the stores, um, and obviously battling with DC. We're looking at a DC comic, but you're referring to
yeah,
Marvel, for that and everything. So very simple times in a lot of ways. Um, but as we were just talking about in episode 41, um, the distribution. How do you making a comic is sort of easy because you just do what we're doing. You meet every Sunday at 11 o'clock and draw for an hour and then cut some time out throughout the week and you just hammer out the comic. But when it comes to the time where we need to release this material to the world in a way to get funding to print it, to distribute it and stuff, it becomes a whole nother game, a whole nother game. And I think you're learning, having done this, walk through this comic book show recently and talked to some of the people in the Artist Alley. Um, Anybody distributing comics right now, Dark Horse, Image, uh, Boom, whatever, that they're not interested. They're getting inundated with thousands and thousands of emails with thousands and thousands of comics, which probably 75% of them are manga related, in style and technique. A lot of talking head, a lot of exposition and stuff like that. And then, I think the books like ours end up, once they make a connection to the proper people, they kind of do a lot of the work for itself, but you got to lay the foundation business wise, and that's something we'll be coming into next year. Um, and, I'm doing a lot of research at this point. But I think the best right now is the YouTube channel, that just keeps showing up and putting stuff out. But other than that, that's what I got for Kamandi 15. I can't wait till 16, to be honest with you.
Well, it won't be long, and
Nope.
it'll be after our Thanksgiving break, so we'll be
Yeah, I should have this up on Wednesday. I try to get them up at Wednesday and
yeah.
11 o'clock and stuff. But yeah. Do you have anything else?
No, that's it. We will be get back to it next week, and we're going to have a big catch up on the future plot for Turbo Pit Fighter. So check out our other comic offering, and otherwise we'll see you back here next time.
Definitely.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Jake. Yep. Thank you guys, and we'll see you next week. Bye bye.
All right.